written production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Are you supposed to strike the gavel?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Didn't need it. Yeah, I should have. Okay, welcome to our board meeting today. I'm Sue Wilson, President of the 2021 Board of Directors. During this meeting, we request everyone please turn off their cell phones or put them in vibrate mode. Please remember that face masks are optional at this meeting. Effective January 2017, we started taping our board members, and by entering this room and or participating in the meeting, you are hereby granting permission to the RCSC to record and use on video and audio tape your image, likeness, and voice. You are also waiving any claims you may have against the RCSC for using your image, likeness, and voice in connection with the video and audio taping of this meeting and broadcast and or publication of such meeting for any purpose of the RCSC. In accordance with our corporate documents, a board meeting is generally held the second Monday and the last Thursday of each month, with the exception of July and August, when there are no board meetings. Before we begin the business at hand, I'd like to introduce you to your board of directors and our management personnel. To my right, Treasurer Sheila Rooney.
Good morning.
Director Darla Agins.
Good morning.
Director Karen McAdam.
Good morning.
Director Rich Hofer.
Morning.
And to my left, Vice President Mike Egge.
Good morning.
Secretary Dale Lair.
Good morning.
Director Steve Collins.
Hello, everyone.
Director Dan Schroeder.
Morning.
And Marcia Johnson, our Corporate Executive Coordinator.
Good morning.
For our management team, Bill Cook, our new GM. Kevin McCurdy, Director of Finance. Chris Herring, Director of Operations. Mike Whiprud, our Director of Buildings and Infrastructure. Brian Duthu, our Director of Golf and Grounds. Jolynn Higgins, Communications and RCSC Marketing Coordinator. Teresa Sereno, Director of our Events and Entertainment. And I'd also like to recognize Alan Kleinhans, our audio-visual technician who operates all audio at this and other events, and Mike Dvorak up in the booth on video camera. Okay, Secretary Lair, do we have a board quorum?
Madam President, we do have a quorum.
All right. Looking at the agenda, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Okay. Motion by Director Akins, second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Collins. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay. Seeing no discussion, we have a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of our minutes from the May 10th, 2021 meeting.
So move.
Okay. Motion by Director Akins.
Second.
Seconded by Vice President Egge. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, seeing no discussion, we have a motion to approve the minutes from May 10th, 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have our treasurer's report. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Approved, or motion made by Director Hofer. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Director Collins. Any discussion on the treasurer's report? Okay, seeing no discussion, I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Acceptance of management report. I need a motion.
Motion.
Okay, Director Collins, I need a second.
A second.
Seconded by Vice President Eggy. Any discussion on the management report?
Madam President?
Yes, Secretary Lear.
I have a few questions and comments. The first question I have is on information technology report. First paragraph where you talk about the building infrastructure, the connectivity for security cameras, card access, security cameras, access control. Do you have any, I know it's a big project and it's a new project, but do you have any idea of just what that component cost? Is there any way to break that out?
Or Director Lair. So the IT, I believe, is associated with Grand only. So they're,
Yes.
right now, he's just helping out and making sure that the connectivity is associated with Grand only. So those exact costs, I don't know that we have the breakout. I would defer to Mike if he has any detail on that.
Good morning, Madam President, Board of Directors. I do have that breakdown. I don't have it with me, but there's generally some relatively minor costs for the infrastructure at Grand 2. They're connecting to Grand 1, so there was a cable, an armored cable that went between the buildings, for instance. IT department also assisted us with the other vendors for low voltage items at Grand 2, low voltage meaning the card access fobs and the security cameras, but those were separate contracts with vendors. But again, our IT department assisted, and there's stuff in the electrical room, IT room, whatever you want to call it, in Grand 2.
Yeah, I was curious about the hardware specifically.
Just some relays, some
For the
switches.
security cameras and the
Yeah,
hardware for
yeah,
access.
all the black boxes, if you will, route into the electrical room at Grand 2. And that's what enables them to communicate with the system. And again, there's a backbone fiber that goes between the two buildings. And the main part of it is in Grand 1, I believe.
Okay, thank you. I have
Yes,
an additional question. Under Information Technology Report, again, a little farther down, it says created procedural documentation for golf to improve productivity. Little explanation on that?
Board members, Director Larry, yes. So we have been experiencing some slight issues with TEG, which is our point of sale system. And so I know that, especially related to utilizing the credit cards, we're working through that. So the IT department actually pulled together a step-by-step documentation to work through any issues that they may have where the card readers are stalling or freezing up. And so that's what that piece is referring to.
Okay, very good. Under Human Resources, key performance indicator for April was 7 days. Lots of interesting things happening in HR. Let's see, I thought I had one other question in here. No, just other than the inverter that was hit by the truck getting a warranty replacement, was that like, I don't know, do we pay for that if somebody, was that an accident on our behalf or?
No, I believe that we are actually have the person who actually did the damage, we have their insurance, and we filed a claim against their insurance.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank
Okay,
you.
any other discussion? Director McAdam.
Yes, Madam President, I am curious to know under the Lakes East-West Maintenance Yard, where we are as far as costs are concerned on that. Can anyone fill us in on that?
Board of Directors, Director McAdam, your question was about costs?
Total cost for the project, yep.
Well, I don't have a total cost for the project, but we've spent quite a bit of money on the design and the permits for the project so far. We've had a civil designer and our architect, costs associated with that. We had to do some septic tank inspections, for instance, along the way. I don't have that figure right with me, but it's close to $100,000 probably so far.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, I realize we're early on in the process, but we, as far as I know from the PIF budget that was passed in January of last year, there was a certain amount that was designated for this, and I'm just curious about whether we're going to be in that ballpark or, it was
I believe it was 1.75 million for the
Correct.
project.
Yes.
And that's certainly the target I'm trying to hit. We won't know till we go out for bid on the project how close we are. We've got a lot of things going on in the economy working against us with the price of materials and whatnot. But we're on the verge of being able to go out for bid. We're through the final second round of comments with the Maricopa County, almost through the second round, I should say. And after we get that, we can go out for bid. I have three GCs we have in mind to send out, so I would hope that would happen in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. Board of Directors, Director McAdam, just want to make sure that you all know that we do track all of the costs down to the penny for each of our PIF projects and all of our other projects as well. So we do have that cost. So if you want to give me a call, I can certainly give that cost to date.
Secretary Lear?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, too, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the Director of Finance sends out monthly a work-in-progress report that has each project listed, how much is budgeted and how much has been spent, and it's updated on a monthly basis, so you can get a pretty good idea of how things are being spent.
Right, thank you.
Yes, Director
Madam
McAdam.
President, could I just ask, what is the process that's in place if it looks like we're going to be entering into, because of the reasons just mentioned, significant cost overruns? Does that have to come back to the board for approval, or how does that actually work?
Yes, if we go over budget we have contingency in there, so if we go over budget, it does have to go through the procedure to have that approved as well, if we go over budget, if we think we're going over budget. Yes.
Can somebody explain that procedure to me, what the procedure is for submitting a request to go over budget?
So that would go through the bid commission. The bid commission would have to review that and approve that, and then the director of finance and the general manager would have to approve that as well. So we would have those three. Mike would submit, his budget overage, and then that would get approved by the bid commission as well as the GM and the director of finance.
So if it goes to the bid commission, is the bid commission required to come back to the board with a recommendation?
The bid commission, I will have to defer on that. I'll get back to you on that. I'm not exactly sure if that goes to the board. I don't believe it does.
It does
Yeah,
not.
I don't think it does.
No.
No, it goes just strictly to the bid commission.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
But if the board members want to see that bid packet, they can see it prior to it going back,
Yes.
after it's signed by the bid commission.
Yes. Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Director Collins?
According to the Wall Street Journal, construction is up 275%, the cost of materials. So if we bid 1.75 million, we figured that was going to be our cost last year. That was before this significant increase. Locally in the area, Royal Oaks, we're scheduled to do 3 phases. They have already canceled the 3rd phase over there because of skyrocketing costs. My question is, if we go over our budgeted amount, then we are going to have to take from other projects such as the golf courses, the lakes, the Mountain View project, all of these things, where if we waited until January, we might be able, the prices will be down and we'd be able to stay within budget.
I can't answer, well, is there a question?
Will we be notified, or will you just accept a bid from these companies that's using today's pricing?
No, what we're required to do is do our due diligence by getting multiple bids.
Yes.
And therefore, we want to make sure that we get the lowest price. And we've have some great relationships with a lot of these vendors as well. But until the bids go out and we get numbers back, I don't know that, what effect the economy and the increases in material pricing is going to affect that at this point. So,
And I would, Mike, you had a question?
Next time, direct it to me, please.
Director Collins, I just wanted to add, let's just say that all three bids come in 20% over our budget. And our budget, to be clear, is more than just the GC's budget. It's our stuff. It's the owner's stuff to complete the building, a lot of other costs associated, architect fees, et cetera. If they all come in 20% over, that doesn't mean we're going to advocate going forward. We might come and say, maybe we ought to sit this out for 6 months. Wait, the permit's not going to go bad. We can still pick it up with the county at a later point in time. So I think it's a robust discussion at that time if we get bad news like that from the market, but we're not automatically going to come through and say, yeah, just find extra money so we can build this. This is what you, the board, wants to do, but we're prepared to see some high numbers, but like Bill said, we got to send it out for bid first. The market will tell us, and it'll be a really good indicator once we get these bids back.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam
Yes,
President.
Director Akins?
Guys, I think we have a couple board members that kind of jumping the gun here. We're not going to start on these projects tomorrow, and if you know some of the history, this stuff has been in our PIF for a few years now. So yeah, we're trying to narrow it down, so we're trying to get some stuff done and trying to get some stuff off our list. But we've had to put stuff off in the past. We always do. It's not like we're going to start it on tomorrow, so by the time we get to it, the prices will probably come down. You don't know because things are changing every day. So I think we need to just slow down, relax, and realize that we're going to go out there and spend everybody's money up and not going to have anything left.
Yes. Yes.
Very good.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, at this time, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, vote aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion for the management report passes. We have no committee recommendations. So going to motions, Marcia, has anyone signed up to speak regarding any motions on the agenda today?
Madam President, no one has signed up to speak on the motions.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to the first motion, second reading on motion 1 by Treasurer Rooney.
Thank you, Madam President. I move, based on the Insurance Committee and the RCSC's insurance brokers' recommendations, to approve the 2021-2022 insurance renewal proposal for the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. The renewal proposal includes the same insurance coverages, carriers, terms and conditions per RCSC's expiring coverage, with just a slight increase in annual premium of 1.7%. Due to market tightening and escalation in insurance premiums seen by most commercial and municipality recreational insurance clients, RCSC is very fortunate to see such a minimal increase. RCSC insurance broker, Lockton Companies, indicates our carriers regard RCSC as a prestigious risk as well as best in class.
Okay. I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Secretary Lair. Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing no discussion, we are voting on the Insurance Committee's recommendation to take the broker's recommendation. Director McAdam.
Yes.
Director Akins.
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney.
Yes.
Vice President Eggy.
Yes.
Secretary Lair.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Schroeder.
Yes.
Director Hofer.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes. Second reading. Going on to motion 2, second reading, Treasurer Rooney.
Furthermore, I move also, based on the Insurance Committee and the RCSC's insurance broker's recommendation, that RCSC decline the terrorism risk insurance. The terrorism-related coverage is optional for commercial property and casualty coverages, except for workers' compensation. Terrorism risk insurance, otherwise known as TRIA, was initially created by the federal government after the 9/11-2001 attack on American soil. The act allows the federal government to share monetary losses with insurers on a commercial property and casualty losses due to a terrorist attack sponsored by foreign interests. For TRIA coverage to apply, a terrorist event would have to be declared by the Secretary of Treasury in concurrence with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General of the United States. There has never been a declaration in the United States since this act was passed by Congress in 2002. The TRIA charge is significant, and the exposure to RCSC is very incidental, if at all. RCSC has rejected TRIA on applicable coverages during the past several years.
Okay, I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Vice President Eggy. Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing no discussion, we have a motion to reject the TRIA. Director Akins,
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney,
Yes.
Vice President Eggy,
Yes.
Secretary Lair,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Schroeder,
Yes.
Director Hofer,
Yes.
Director McAdam,
Yes.
and I vote yes. That motion passes second reading. Okay, moving on to agenda items. Marcia, do I have anyone that's signed up to speak on agenda items?
Vic Hageman?
Okay. Just a reminder, when you approach the microphone, we ask that you state your name, member number, and agenda item you wish to speak on. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for comments as indicated by the light on the stage.
Good morning. Vic Hageman, 145711. Agenda item 1. The 3 minutes seems a little small, a small amount of time. When I'm up here looking at my clock here, I get 3 minutes goes by very, very quickly, so I would like to increase that time. But at the same time, I'd like to clarify, if someone is up here speaking to the board and their talking goes for an extended amount of time, does the chair have the, for lack of a better term, power to say, enough's enough?
Yes.
Okay, so that could, there may not be a reason for a time limit because you already have the power to cut them off, correct?
To a degree, yes.
Oh, to a degree, because I've been in a couple meetings where a person's up here been speaking for 10 minutes maybe, and I had to walk out. I had enough. So I like to limit the maybe to 5 minutes, because after 5 minutes we all go glassy-eyed and go, well, okay. So that's agenda 1. 2, I'm a little confused about 2. Are you saying that the board wants to have decision-making processes of whether or not a club remains a club?
The board does have that decision-making process.
I was told it was RCSC.
It goes through RCSC, but it comes to the board when a club is going to be dechartered.
Yeah, but RCSC makes that decision. They're just letting the board know about it, correct?
No, the board votes on it on a consent. We vote on it.
Okay, all right. Agenda number 3. I'm concerned about toys for grandchildren at the pools. So I don't want a bunch of toys being used with grandkids. So the inflatable items that you listed on here, I have 59 seconds. That seems, I don't know, is that for children or is that for adults? Water guns, out. No water guns. No, that should be gone. There should be no water guns or metallic items at the pool.
And that's what it says.
And I just want to, it says swimmers may be asked to remove swimming gear from the pool area if their use of such negatively affects other users of RCSC facilities. I'm a little concerned that I don't want the people in the flowered shirts to get into arguments with homeowners about what they can bring. So I'd like to see a little clarification on what is here, but not everything. Okay, we do have common sense to use, but I have spoken to grandparents and they just want to have their kids with toys, and I forget the toys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else, Marcia?
No, Madam President.
Okay, going on to agenda items then. Director of Operations, Chris Herring.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped, I turned over a page. Sorry, Chris, didn't mean to throw you a loop. Director
Oh, no,
Akins.
you threw me under the bus.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. I'll forgive you this time. All right. I move that we set a 3-minute time limit on member comments and board comments.
Okay, I have a motion, I need a second. Seconded by Director Schroeder. Discussion.
Yes, Madam President?
Yes.
I know people are, I know you have that concern, and I knew people were going to have concerns about that time limit. However, the last few board meetings have been very long, and I'm concerned, just like you were, that some people may have gotten tired of waiting and left and didn't get a chance to speak. Also, there may be some people that are farther away from the mic that can't get to the mic in time to speak before someone else who is closer to the mic gets to speak. So I want to hear from everybody. I don't want people to get tired of waiting and get bored and decide to leave when maybe they had something they had to say was something that we really need to hear. So I really think that we need to limit everybody 2 or 3 minutes, because you come up here, get to the point, and not have a discussion in trying to make your point of view, but get to the point and then let us know exactly how you're feeling. Then, and when there's time left over at the end, then you can come back up and speak again. But I want to hear from everybody, because I've noticed that people have been leaving, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure if they really wanted to speak or not. They may have, because I have talked to some people that wanted to speak, but they waited, it was too long to wait. They didn't want to wait an hour to get up here to speak. So I'm very concerned about that, and that's why I decided to, let's try out the 3 minutes and see how that works. Because we had 3 minutes before. This is not the first time we've done this. We're just bringing it back again. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Madam
Director
President.
Hofer?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
As probably the most verbose person sitting up here, and the person most likely to violate a 3-minute time limit, let me just quote Hamlet and Shakespeare: brevity is the soul of wit. I find it difficult to believe that anybody that approaches the podium, or any of us up here, cannot make our comments known in 3 minutes. That's a long time. It really is. If I ask you to speak for 3 straight minutes on a topic, it can be, unless you've done that professionally, it's very difficult. So I would support this motion. I don't believe in censorship. I want to see everybody speak, and I want to hear from everybody. But I think you can do it in 3 minutes. I don't think that's a big problem. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Director Collins?
Madam President, I think that the people here, I've heard in the past, we took this position and we were going to give up our time. And if it takes some people a little longer to get their comments out there, I think we should have the common courtesy to sit here and listen. And also, putting time limits on our board members to answer the questions from the people, I think is wrong. Thank you.
It wouldn't be, I just want to clarify, it's not to answer questions, it is during the board comment section that she's talking about. Okay, Secretary Lair.
Just a point of clarification. If this passes and someone has their 3 minutes, if they feel they need to come back up to the mic, they still have that option?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Director McAdam?
Madam President, I'm concerned about this because I think that the minute that we begin to legislate things like that, we can accomplish some of the goals that we want, but sometimes there can be really negative consequences by virtue of limiting a strong argument that requires more than 3 minutes, which will only happen incidentally. That won't happen a lot. But I do, because you are, as the board president, is invested with the ability to direct that, my preference would actually be to do this on a case-by-case basis and to not try to legislate it by assigning a particular time limit.
Madam President?
Yes, Director Akins?
Well, yes, the board president does have the ability to cut somebody off if she feels like they're going too long. However, it's hard to do that without coming off like you're being rude. If you'll not remember, there was a lady here, I don't know, the last board meeting before, that was on a time limit, and she tried to cut her off, and she continued to talk, and then got upset when Sue raised her voice because she said she was yelling at her. So, I mean, that's why I said you can come up as many times as you want. Let's just let everybody have a chance instead of somebody dominating the conversation, dominating the meeting.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the table to set a 3-minute time limit on member comments and board comments. Treasurer Rooney,
Yes.
Vice President Eggy,
Yes.
Secretary Lair,
Yes.
Director Collins,
No.
Director Schroeder,
Yes.
Director Hofer,
Yes.
Director McAdam,
No.
Director Akins,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes first reading. Okay, now Chris, you're up.
Madam President, board members, the RCSC management team recommends an amendment to Board Policy Resolution 12 titled Chartered Clubs, Section 1 titled Chartered Club Requirements, and that changes as follows to add this language. Groups that perform the same or similar activity to a dechartered club shall not be granted a charter within 1 year of the date of the decharter of the similar club. For chartered clubs dechartered due to a documented RCSC Board Policy 12 violations, there will be a 2-year waiting period from the date of the dechartering before a new club performing the same or similar activities shall be granted a charter.
Okay,
Questions?
any questions? Director Schroeder?
I have a question. First of all, is there a reason behind this?
Yes.
Have we had this problem quite a few times before?
We have done this in the past, and we have a new charter that is coming up, a club that has recently been dechartered that is kind of morphed and asking for a new charter.
Okay, and that would come to the board, and if you explained that to the board, we would vote accordingly. But to add this, all this language in here to BP 12, I do not agree with that at all.
Okay.
Any other questions for Chris before we ask for a motion?
Yes, Madam President.
Director McAdam.
I have a question. Mr. Herring, could you explain to me the exclusion of the stamp and model railroad, just so that we understand why those exceptions have been made?
That exclusion has been in BP 12 for many years. I don't know the specifics behind it, but I suspect it has, like model railroad, there is an investment in the track and the amount of space that requires. And I think the board at the time this got put in was cognizant of maybe fluctuations in club membership and was trying to address that. But other than that, I don't have the details, but I could find out from our historical process.
Madam President, I could understand that with the model railroad club, although I think that anytime we begin issuing exclusions, other people are going to say, well, we have investments in our clubs too. I'm concerned about that. But I don't understand. Is the stamp and model railroad one club, or is there a stamp club and a model railroad club?
I'm going to interrupt here just a minute, because what we're talking about is the dechartering and the chartering. We're not talking about the stamp and the model railroad at this time. We're just talking about the changes in what we're looking at Board Policy 12.
Yes,
So if you have a question on that part, please ask.
Okay, Madam President, I would like to just push back on that a little bit, because the way that we approach the new language and verbiage is based on whether we correctly understand what already exists there. So I would like to, in order to be able to evaluate the new language, just understand that background.
And I think right now, what we need to do is have a motion on it, and then you can have discussion on it with the board. Right now, we're just talking, if you have any questions for Chris, strictly on this part that we are voting on.
So are you suggesting that I'll be able to ask him that question in just a minute after we have the motion?
If we have a motion and a second. Okay.
Madam
Secretary
President.
Lair, yes.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve
It
the
is.
recommendation to amend Board Policy Resolution Number 12, titled Chartered Clubs, Section 1, titled Chartered Clubs Requirements, Paragraph 3, Sentence 2, to read as follows: groups that perform the same or similar activity to a dechartered club shall not be granted a charter within 1 year of the date of the decharter of a similar club. For chartered clubs dechartered due to documented RCSC BP 12 violations, there will be a 2-year waiting period from the date of dechartering before a new club performing the same or similar activity shall be granted a charter.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Director Akins. Now discussion.
Madam President,
Yes, Director Schroeder.
for the reasons I stated to Chris already, I urge this board to vote no on this. It's not needed. The board would handle it when they brought to us by management. So I would urge this board to please vote no.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yes, Madam President, I'd
Director
like to come back to my question here, because I believe that this new language excludes the possibility of an exemption, but we have a couple of clubs that have the exemption, so I would just like a little bit of clarification about, just to help us understand that if we're going to prevent clubs that are dechartered from being able to do the same thing that the Stamp and the Model Railroad Club are doing, what's the justification for that?
Well, if we look at the context of the section that you're reading, the context is specific to providing the minimum number of members that are required for a club. In those respects, those two clubs were granted an exception in this policy with respect to the number of members, not with respect to whether they have a charter or not. And the language that we have now is specifically regarding allowing a new club to be chartered, or a delay in that chartering when a similar club has been dechartered. The specifics, like I said before, Director McAdams, why the model railroad was provided that, I don't have the detail. The Stamp Club, as it stands today, is no longer a club, and this is an antiquated exception.
Madam President?
Yes, Director Akins.
I think to clarify that for you, Director McAdams, you probably would have to ask the board members that were on the board about 10 years ago, because this policy has been in place that long. So this has been a long time, and I don't really know the history, and I don't think any of us here know the history of why that was put there, but that's been there a very long time.
Okay, any other discussion?
Madam President?
Yes, Director Hofer.
Mr. Herring, is there a reason why management couldn't come? Because as I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if a club is going to be dechartered, it comes to the club's office, then through your office, and then to the board. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there a reason why, when you approached the board for a decharter on a case-by-case basis, that you couldn't give us the backstory? As I understand this particular instance, there is a backstory, and give that backstory to the board so that we would have full information before voting on it, because we still, regardless, will have to vote on decharters anyway. That's what we do.
Director Hofer, Madam President, yes, and that with respect to decharter, that detail can be provided. This is specifically regarding a new charter for a club subsequent to that decharter.
Exactly. And would it be, well, and again, chartering has to come to the board as well.
Correct.
So if somebody decides to do something and then they decharter and then they come back 2 months later to recharter, for whatever reason, we could get the backstory on that from you as well on a case-by-case basis?
That is true, and that charter or decharter request would hit the consent agenda, and it would just, the crafting of that consent agenda would need to be carefully done, because it is a consent agenda where everything is approved or not approved. And so how that gets added to the agenda, we would just need to take care in that.
Okay, and one final question. Is this an issue where we have a lot of problems and a lot of clubs that are not following this or dechartering and wanting to recharter within a year? I mean, is that happening on a regular basis?
Well, we are not seeing that on a regular basis. Even more, what I think we would see more frequently is the one that we maybe have before us today, which is a club that has not filed their 990 tax forms for several years and had their tax ID number revoked. And that's a clear Board Policy 12 violation,
Sure.
and we were trying to address that through policy.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Madam President?
Yes, Director McAdams.
I would just like to join with Director Schroeder in encouraging the board to vote against this, and largely for the reason that I think that we can address the anomaly on a case-by-case basis, and I also want to simply add, I think that we want to be seen as an organization that encourages club formation and not as one that is punitive.
Excuse me, Madam President.
Director Akins?
Yeah, I don't think we're actually being punitive. I think we're trying to make sure everybody takes care of business. And when you don't have, if you have too much flexibility, you have people that don't take care of business like they do, like they have been or haven't been. And we have one person overseeing this. We have over 100, we have about 130 some clubs. And for this one person to check and make sure all 130 some clubs have all their paperwork and have all their ducks in a row is a little bit much. So if everybody knows this is in place, they'll be on top of things more, they'll be more alert, and maybe they'll get to take care of business.
Madam President?
Yes, Director Collins.
I agree with Director Schroeder that the board already handles this, and there's no reason why we couldn't continue as we are right now.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the table to add to BB 12 about dechartering clubs not being able to join or charter a similar club in a year, and for clubs that are dechartered due to documented RCSC board policy violations, they would have a 2-year waiting period. Vice President Eggy.
No.
Secretary Lair.
Yes.
Director Collins.
No.
Director Schroeder.
No.
Director Hofer.
No.
Director McAdam.
No.
Director Akins.
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney.
No.
And I vote yes, motion fails. Okay, Director of Operations Chris Herring, again.
The RCSC management team recommends an amendment to Board Policy Resolution Number 10 titled RCSC Rules and Regulations. The section titled Aquatic Facilities, Pools and Spas, item numbers 4 and 12 amended as follows. Section 4, with the inclusion of use of shampoos and soaps are not permitted in outdoor shower areas. And in Section 12, the read fully, swimming pool gear, including flotation device, may not extend more than 2 feet from swimmer and must be within the control of the swimmer at all times. Items are not permitted, that are not permitted include, but are not limited to balls, frisbees, rafts, or other items that allow reclining or laying, inflatable items except arm floats, excuse me, water guns, and any metallic items. Flotation devices must be made from solid materials, and items filled with loose materials are not permitted. Swimmers may be asked to remove swimming gear from the pool if their use of such negatively affects other users or RCSC facilities.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Herring?
Madam President?
Yes, Director Schroeder?
Chris, I was just thinking, wouldn't it be more pleasant to name the things that can be brought into the pool and not in a negative way like this, but just state the certain things that can be brought into the pool?
That is an alternative way of addressing it, yes.
I just think it would be more pleasant.
Madam President?
Yes, Director
I
Akins?
believe that if we tried to list the things that can be brought in, that list might be a lot longer than the ones that can't bring in. So I'm not sure we have enough room for that, because there are some things, a lot of things that they can be brought in. And then when you start bringing things that they can be brought in, then people are going to say, well, my item falls into that category. And they'll start trying to stretch the rules and try to fit what they're thinking into that mold.
Okay, but is this a question right now?
So no, sorry.
Okay.
I was out of line, but that's
So
just.
first we need a motion before we have discussion. Secretary Lair.
I'd like to make a motion. Thank you. I move to approve the recommended changes to Board Policy 10, titled RCSC Rules and Regulations, section titled Aquatic Facilities, Pools and Spas, item numbers 4 and 12. Item 4, with the addition of the sentence at the end of the paragraph, use of shampoos and soaps are not permitted in outdoor shower areas. Item 12, starting with the sentence number 2, items that are not permitted include but are not limited to balls, frisbees, rafts, or other items that allow reclining or laying, inflatable items except for warm arm floats, water guns, and any metallic items. Flotation devices must be made from solid materials, and items filled with loose materials are not permitted. Swimmers may be asked to remove swimming gear from the pool area if their use of such negatively affects other users or RCSC facilities.
Okay, I need a second. Seconded by Vice President Eggy. Okay, now discussion.
Madam President?
Yes, Director Akins.
I apologize, I got a little carried away. I'm sorry. But I did kind of have a question. I was like, wouldn't that list be longer? But that was kind of a rhetorical question. Yes, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, any other discussion?
Madam President,
Yes,
comment on
Director Schroeder.
Director Akins. I would think that the list of things that you cannot bring into the pool, if you really wanted to detail it, would be far more than the items that can be brought to the pool.
Yeah. Madam President?
Yes.
And I believe when we looked at our previous rules, we did have what could be permitted. Taking the contrary approach of what isn't permitted, we felt that also, while on the surface it may seem more restrictive, it actually is more inclusive because while when you indicate what can be provided, that list is very narrow and short. When you list those things that may not be provided, it opens up the spectrum for those things that would be allowed. So in our feeling, it would actually be more inclusive than less inclusive.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yes, Madam President.
Director McAdam.
I am concerned about the very detailed approach to trying to imagine every specific thing and deciding whether we like that or we don't, and the danger that exists of our policy manual growing to, something that fills the halls of Congress. And wonder, I'd actually made this proposal to the rest of the board members in an email 10 days ago or so, and I would just like to reinforce that I think we might be better served by a broader approach and perhaps a blanket statement that, as an alternative that says all participants are expected to show consideration towards others and for course property, understanding that it may make life in some situations a little bit more difficult, but I think it actually achieves by and large, what our goals are, better than trying to figure out a rule for every single possible imaginable item and whether it belongs in a pool or not. So I just want to back that up by saying I have worked together with schools whose student handbook was hundreds of pages long, and the spaghetti straps on a girl's top were told how many inches they had to be at the shoulders, and when you knelt on the floor, how far, how high the hemline of your shorts or skirts could be, what kinds of words you can put on T-shirts, what kinds of jewelry you're allowed to wear, and it just never ended. And I have also worked with schools that have said, we expect everybody to dress modestly and non-offensively and reasonably. And I have worked with school boards that have moved from A to B. And I think that I'm a big fan of B.
I would like to comment. I've also worked with school boards for 37 years, and I can tell you the more gray you make an area, the more problems you will have. And so if you don't spell things out, then you leave it for interpretation, and interpretation leads to problems.
Madam President?
Director Akins.
I also have worked with school boards, as I've been in teaching for over 40 years, and I can tell you right before I retired 6 years ago, there was a huge conversation. As a matter of fact, we had to have several in-services, and we had to have several staff meetings talking about sandals, because they had to explain the difference between sandals and flip-flops. Because people are trying to, because they dress up flip-flops now to make them look a little glittery and a little glossy and all that kind of stuff, so they're trying to pass them off as sandals. However, they're not sandals. So we had hours and hours of conversations about sandals. So yes, you have to be specific. You can't leave gray.
Okay, any other discussion? Secretary Lair.
Okay. I just have to say this. I think that if directors are concerned about the wording, you get this in advance, be prepared to make an amendment and have your wording the way you want it so you can present it instead of getting detoured. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the table to approve the addition in number 4 under BP 12, I'm sorry, BP 10. And we're talking items 4 under the aquatic facilities as well as items 12. Secretary Lair,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Schroeder,
No.
Director Hofer,
Yes.
Director McAdam,
No.
Director Akins,
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney,
Yes.
Vice President Eggy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes first reading. Chris, you were a popular one today. Okay.
So for the trifecta, RCSC management recommends an amendment to Board Policy Resolution 10 titled RCSC Rules and Regulations, section titled Miniature Golf. Item number 2 is added as follows. Players may play only one ball when others are waiting.
Okay.
If there are,
Questions? I'm sorry. Questions for Chris on this before we make a motion? Okay, I need a motion.
Madam President,
Secretary Lair?
I move to approve the recommended change to BP number 10 titled RCSC Rules and Regulations, section titled Miniature Golf. Item 2 as follows. Players may play only one ball when others are waiting.
I need a second. Seconded by Vice President Eggy. Now discussion.
Madam President, is
Director
that
Collins?
really an issue we have?
Yes.
Madam President, Board of Directors, it actually is. And what will happen if we provide a recommendation or an expectation of playing for the benefit of others or so, we will get, our frontline staff get the comment, where is that in writing? And so because it's not in writing, we don't see compliance for the greater good as we might expect.
Okay. Any other discussion? Director McAdam?
Yes, Madam President. For the same reasons that I named before, I would prefer for us to take a broader approach, and so I'm offering an amendment to this motion, and I have it in written form. I'll ask you to pass it down and suggest that instead we say players are expected to be courteous to and considerate of others.
Okay, I need a second on this motion.
A second on the amendment?
Second on the amendment, yes. Not on the motion itself, but on the amendment.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Director Collins. Any discussion on that?
You know, I guess I need to say, Madam President, I think if the whole world was really courteous to others, we wouldn't have all the laws and rules that we have in place right now. That's right. Thank you.
You're right, okay. Okay, so I'm starting off. Any other discussion? We're voting first on the amendment. Players are expected to be courteous to and considerate of others, starting with Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Schroeder,
No.
Director Hofer,
No.
Director McAdam,
Yes.
Director Akins.
No.
Treasurer Rooney,
No.
Vice President Eggy,
No.
Secretary Lair,
No.
and I vote against. That amendment dies. Okay, going back to the motion. The motion is players may play only one ball when others are waiting. I'm starting with Director Schroeder,
Yes.
Director Hofer,
Yes.
Director McAdam,
No.
Director Akins,
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney,
Yes.
Vice President Eggy,
Yes.
Secretary Lair,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes first reading. Okay, moving on. Oh, all right, we are down. Actually, talking a little bit about Mountain View. Director Schroeder, did you have a motion that you were making?
Postpone it.
To suspend it?
This is to postpone.
Oh, that's right, I had a motion.
Oh, yeah.
I had a motion last month, or last meeting to postpone this. I move to postpone this item to our next meeting.
Okay, and I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Secretary Lair. Any discussion? I would like to point out that the reason is obviously we don't have the master plan alternative back yet and won't have it until June 14th. And since this was a board action before, it needs to be a board action now in order to postpone it to another meeting. Okay, so taking a vote, Director Hofer,
Yes?
Director McAdam,
Yes.
Director Akins.
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney,
Yes.
Vice President Eggy,
Yes.
Secretary Lair,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Schroeder,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, it is postponed to the next meeting. Thank you. All right, member comments. Marcia.
Christine Svensson?
Okay, just when you approach the microphone, we ask that you state your name and member number, and while we do not have a time limit yet for speaking, we do ask that you are considerate of time so everyone who wants will have a chance to speak. If you make comments and then want to return a second time, we ask that you wait until everyone gets an opportunity to speak, and then time allowing, you can return for additional comments.
Okay, thank you. My name is Christy Svensson. My number is 137489, and I have an accommodation to request of you. In 1982, I was in a near fatal car wreck, and because of that, I lost my ability to speak for many years. Can you believe that? I couldn't talk at all. Okay, so what I would like now is 4 minutes instead of 3, because I talk so slow.
There's no time limit on this right now.
Okay, well, that's my point, was what I was
Oh, okay, I
talking
see.
about earlier.
I see what you're
Okay, I would like to thank the management for reminding me that as a private association, RCSC is exempt from all Americans with Disabilities rules and regulations. And I apologize that I did not acknowledge that earlier, but there's nothing in the ADA that you guys have to do, so what is being done is much appreciated. I would like to point out that parking, however, is covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So whether it's a private golf club, a private Eagles or Elks or RCSC, parking is enforced, is not exempt from you guys, from any of us, for all of our welfare, for all of our good. Okay, my daily observation over there at Mountain View is that there are between 10 and 30, maybe even more, vehicles there at all times. And I go there not all day, every day, but I go there every day at different times. And I would like to say that for the most part, the people who are there are in the pool. And my question is that when the accessible parking is moved out back, what is the access route into the facility? Because I can't walk half a block in 115-degree heat, and I believe that nobody else can either. And thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Okay. Right now, answering that, we don't have the whole plan back to be able to actually answer that question for you. So that will be something they'll look at. Okay. All right, thank you. Marcia?
Celeste Highland?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Celeste Highland, 10422 West Sherrill Drive.
No, what's your number?
Oh, my
Your member number.
114334. Sorry, don't have that number in my head. Anyways, I would like to speak with you, and I'm kind of disappointed because at the last meeting you said that the architects would be here at this meeting. And we do leave town during the summer like a lot of people, so we will not really be able to be here to address, and we had an understanding they would be, because I'd like to just take a couple minutes to make a couple suggestions on the Mountain View project. I am worried about a no wall that faces 107 for security reasons. And we just had an incident in San Jose. God bless those people. I think, and for privacy, I think our residents would prefer a wall rather than a fenced area, for the reasons I just stated. Also for shade, 107 faces west. At 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's very warm. There is no, they want the sun, yes, for a resort pool, but you also need some repass to get out of the sun. And I just would like to request that you reconsider and we get a privacy wall. If it's a resort pool, and many beautiful resorts in this valley down here, their swimmers have a privacy area. It's not out in the public like a children's pool, in a community children's pool. So I really would like you to reassess that architectural part of the plan to give the people the privacy they now have. Also, there are many cars that drive off of Olive. With an open pool like that, that will give those people, many people, who are kind of hot rodding and kind of, we've also had, vandalism over at the baseball diamond, an opportunity that after the thing closes at the end of the day, oh, let's hop in the pool at midnight. It'll be right there. It'll be easy access for people. So, it could happen. So for privacy, safety, insurance purposes, and for the pleasure of the swimmers, I would request you reconsider and get a full 8-foot, whatever, 10-foot wall to give a little shade and to give some, privacy and security for our swimmers. The other thing I'd like to talk about is I would like to request this for all of our pools and rec centers, filtered water filling stations, to try to promote recycling and elimination of debris. Drinking out of a water fountain, it's not healthy now. They're old water fountains. Let's give our people, just like in airports and up at the Grand Canyon, they've got water filtration bottle fillers. People could bring their water bottles unfilled. I know it's a big worry at the fitness center. What do you have in that water bottle? I've been asked several times when I was been at Fairway. What do you got in there? Is there a drink in there that's, like a pop or something? We just give them a nice filtered, cool water. They can be doing their fitness, they can be swimming, they can take their water bath. And I request that not just for Mountain View, the new facility, that this be a consideration for all our facilities. It's just a nice thing for our residents. It shows we're staying with the times. We're supporting recycling. The other thing I'd like to talk about would be the bathroom situation. I know you're planning the bathrooms. The bathrooms at Mountain View, we want to think about where they are in relationship to the theater and for the swimmers. My concern is safety for people walking into bathrooms after swimmers have been using them with wet water and there are people in the theaters. You dress differently when you go to the theater than when you go and you're swimming. And will they slip and fall? I think we need to have some restroom facilities for the theater and the fitness that are not going to be water, have water on the floors, and there might be a possible option where people may fall. Another insurance situation for people. I mean, I've had to tiptoe through the showers over at Mountain View and Fairway because I want to be safe. But I've had those rubber walking shoes on. What if you have nice shoes, you're kind of dressed up, you want to go to the theater, it's kind of a nice experience. So I'd like to request that you look at that situation in lieu of the fact that swimmers and other people attending other things it's going to be dangerous on wet floors. One of the last things I'd like to speak about is Fairway. Fairway's a lovely facility. Thank you very much. I love the shade there. I'm not a big sun person. I love the covered areas. But that pool, before we close Mountain View, I think it needs to have a complete maintenance check. Their decking is cracking in many places. It's a newer facility, but you're going to have so many people going from Mountain View over to Fairway for the 2 years while the pool is in the area is being renovated. That needs to really be ready. Also in the shower areas, I can't get the water past a medium warm. On a couple cold days when I was out in the water, I want to go in, I want to get warm. I couldn't get the showers and the shower stalls up. The plumbing needs to be checked. I went to wash my hands. I couldn't get the sinks to start, the automatic sinks where you don't have to touch the faucet handles. There were a couple of them that weren't working. I think in anticipation of more swimmers going into the new facility, I think there should be some type of a plan to look at the maintenance situation where there's going to be a lot more heavy use from this whole area, this whole south area. And thank you very much for finally really being serious and considering having a professional type theater, not only for the theater club, I'm a member of that club, but for also other clubs who will possibly be using this facility. I can imagine it'll be in a great deal of use. And those players and whatever, ukulele or whoever, there's many groups, singers, instrumentalists, all the performing arts people. What those clubs do is they give a gift to the community. They offer free or reasonable entertainment so our people can feel like they're entertained at a price they can afford. And so in closing, I'd say I have confidence that the Mountain View Rec Center Remodeling Committee has put a great deal of thought into the planning. I believe the new facility will be a facility that will be enjoyed by many for years. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Marcia?
Claudia Herman.
My name is Claudia Herman. My number is 131501. President and directors, thank you for allowing me to speak today. Although, again, it was a little disappointing to hear that the Mountain View meeting has been postponed, I will make my comments. I did got up early this morning so that I could make a few comments so that they could be in the record now and they could be repeated, or maybe they could be passed along to the architects prior to the next meeting. I'm a very avid lap swimmer. I swim every day. 40 lengths of the Mountain View pool. There's often times when, yes, people are walking. I know the new facility will accommodate walkers to eliminate people in that area. But it would be nice if the depth would be at least 6 feet to 4 feet. It would eliminate people from walking in that pool, similar to Fairway. Also, the length is perfect for lap swimmers. I've spoken to many people at the facility, and they like the length of that pool. I realize maybe the accommodation will not be to put more laps in there based on the other two pools, but the length and the depth of the water is very important so that I can get my laps in without having to wait for someone who's kind of doodling. And they have, I respect those people for going there and trying to exercise. But it would be nice to be able to get in and swim my laps without someone just walking when the area next to the lap pool area is open for them. It would be also nice to have cool decking. I don't know how many of you go to various pools, but maybe that's already in the project. The cool decking would eliminate people from feeling their feet being burned when they're walking on the deck, because it gets very hot, as all of us know. I would also recommend for the new pool is maybe a rain water feature, something down one of the walls. The sound of water is very relaxing, and when people are going to resort pool, I've seen them in other pools, and they're very, very nice. I don't think that would add a lot of money to it. I think it would have to obviously be looked at, but it's kind of down metal chains, and it just looks like a straight waterfall. It's really very lovely. I also think that right now, there's not a big push on recycling at especially Mountain View. That's where I mostly go. There's one garbage can, and I
think that everyone dumps all their trash, including water bottles, in there. And again, a water feature of just filling your water bottle might eliminate the garbage, but they do have cans, maybe a consideration for the new facility, where they have trash and then recycling in one combo type can. And I used that at a place that I worked at, which worked out very well. Another consideration is maybe using swipe cards. Now, people are going to say cha-ching, cha-ching, but I think once it's set up, it's very inexpensive. You just swipe yourself in, and sometimes, and then having a door that closes and opens at some of the other facilities. The problem is sometimes the FA at Mountain View walks over to get the different sheets, and she's not standing there, and you're just writing down your number to walk in. Now, obviously, that's part of her responsibility to go get the sheets. The problem is no one's there guarding the door. Therefore, if you had a swipe and you just swipe your photo ID that allows you to get in the facility, that means that you have access to that facility. It could be tried at one facility, such as Mountain View, to see if it works. Then you could sign in where you're going, but it does help with security for the facility. Especially after thinking about the attack at San Jose yesterday. I know that was an open facility, and many times these attacks are open facilities, but I'm thinking about the safety of the people who swim. And also, presently, there's many holes at the Mountain View facility. We're talking about safety and insurance reasons. I think some of those could at least be patched. Even though the facility is going to be torn down, I understand you're not going to do a new decking. I wouldn't expect you to. But there's many holes in the deck, and they should at least be patched or something. The solution is not just putting a carpet over some of the holes. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Herb Highland.
Hi, Herb Highland, 114333. I have two things that I'd like to talk about. First one is about Mountain View. Again, the same reason we came to talk about certain things. I thank the board and everybody who's been working on the Mountain View project, and I know it's an arduous thing. I have kind of had on the side involvement in the project as a member of the Sun City Players. A couple of things. This is a Mountain View general thing, but it does affect the theater. The parking situation, I thank you for adding the handicap parking in the front. The suggestion is, at the bowling alley, they actually have the same number of handicap parking spaces that you're putting at Mountain View. It's kind of an imbalance. I understand that there are close-in issues. I think that the design needs to take into effect some people cannot walk 50 to 100 feet comfortably. Mine's temporary. Some of my friends are not temporary. So to me, that's a concern. And it has been a concern about it from theater people at Old Mountain View, because if they're in the back, they have to walk. I will tell you, the people who go to the shows, on average, about 10 or 15% of the people park in the back. The rest park in the front, on the side streets, and every place else. There's a couple of reasons. One is access. What I suggest as part of this is working with the county to get the same access that's at Bell when you go off 99th. There's a turn to the parking lot, to the entrance. In the back of Mountain View, you have to go to the right to go to the left. It's not going to be convenient. With your new design, that stays. That exists after the design. So maybe something to alleviate that. I understand leaving the lawn bowling where it is, You cannot put a road on the property to go around to the back as 2 lanes. So therefore, a solution to solve that would be to do the same thing that Bell has, an actual cross street so that you come out of there, you have a stop sign on the other side, and you can turn left, rather than turning right, going all the way down to Salem and turning, or 105th and turning. So that's just common sense. The other thing is golf cart parking. I know it's preliminary and you haven't done anything. Just think about golf cart parking at Mountain View. It exists now. You need to think about keeping it there. You save parking spaces by having golf cart parking. If you put a golf cart in a regular spot, you have taken up space you didn't need to. You can put 1.5 golf carts in one space. I mean, we have them every place else. I just, again, take that into consideration. The last thing I have has nothing to do with Mountain View. I'm going to try to be as politically correct as possible. I had a situation as a card member at the Lakeview Bowling Alley. I did not have the appropriate shirt for the rules that were set up in 2019 that are on, actually out on the website. I'm a website person, so I do go out there. But I didn't specifically go out there to read all the rules for the bowling alley. I was approached by a person. I will leave them nameless, and I will leave their, some of what they said nameless to keep their identity from showing up. They encountered the person. I did not have a shirt with sleeves. I had a sleeveless shirt, not a tank top. There's a difference between a sleeveless shirt and a tank top. So I had a sleeveless shirt on, and person, we had trouble getting the alley. She was changing the alley that we were going to be on. This person saw me with the sleeveless shirt on, went over to the person at the desk and said, "No, you do not put that person on the alley. They are not dressed appropriately for this facility." Literally telling the person to not allow me to bowl. Not warning me, denying me access. That's wrong. I'm sorry. I have worked for several companies over my career, and you do that, you've turned everybody off. So it turned me off, and I've lived in here. Oh, and the person did say to me, "How long have you lived here?" I said, 14 years. They turned around and walked away because they knew that, it's not as if I was here yesterday. But if I was here yesterday, what does that say to a person? "Oh, you haven't been here long enough. Sorry. You're just got to catch up." Some of these things have to end. This was a person of authority in Sun City, and that's all I'll say. The signage needs to be done at the facilities. There was no signage, not the rules. The clerk at the desk had only started 3 weeks earlier, had no idea what the rules were. A simple sign right there by the register with the major components saying this, 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 and this would have solved it. Because I would have looked at it, I would have said, okay, I live 5 minutes away, I'll go get a shirt, rather than have an argument. But it's just the way things are addressed. And I'm sorry, it's not the first incident that I've run into in the last, I'd say 5 to 10 years. Previous to that, I didn't run into too many incidences. But now, we need to have a little bit better attitude, especially when people are representing, quote unquote, a private club or a private, resort facility. That's it.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
Bill?
Mike Davis?
Hold on.
Sorry. I think he left anyways.
Board of Directors, Mr. Highland, can I ask, did you fill out an incident report with the incident that you had at Lakeview? And first,
No, I did not, because that was not even offered.
Okay, I want to.
So that you know it wasn't offered either.
Okay, I want to apologize. I don't know, I don't know that they may have felt that they did not treat you with disrespect, but you always have that
Right. It was not.
option to do that, and that's the way we would know about that, and we would address it. We would address it.
The person was nobody that was working under you at the facility, just so that you understand that. They were all very cooperative.
As a general manager, everybody works, for, I want to make sure that if you fill out an incident report, we would absolutely address that. And I want to apologize if, there was any disrespect.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it was a homeowner. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was an
I'm
employee.
sorry.
I apologize. I thought it was.
I do not want to say the person that it was, and the person actually probably knows who they were. But they invoked RCSC, and that's all I'll say. And it was not an employee.
But an incident report could still be written
Right.
on that person.
Exactly.
And I did not know that you could write one at the bowling alley. I know about them and all.
Yes, and you can get them online, and you'd say you're very good at the web. So, yeah. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, Marcia.
Mike Davis? I think he left. He did.
Okay.
Mark, and I can't read the last name. It looks like Kreschel or Crestel?
I'll defer to the next meeting.
You're the last one, sir. Okay.
Okay.
So, Madam President, no one else has signed up.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the,
Oh, just wait a minute.
okay, let me get this and we open the floor for anyone who did not sign up but would like to speak. And once again, when you approach the microphone, please give your name and number.
My name is Melvin Haas, and my number is 114378. And I have two questions. And first of all, I'd like to apologize for coming in late. I had a schedule, but I'm having my house stuccoed, so I was waiting for the contractor. But anyway, my two questions is, the first one is really pertaining to a lot of the snowbirds that left. When you make a proposal like this, let's say at Mountain View, I should back up a little bit, as I'm a president of the tennis club. And so then a lot of the people have gone, and so they don't really get any input on whether they can keep something or any other facility. My question, the first question is, how do you approach your dealing with a vote when most of the snowbirds are gone, or how do you do that?
A vote.
Well, I mean, let's say the approval of the modifications of the Mountain View
Would be a board vote.
would be a board vote.
Yes.
Do you take any input from the members?
We have been taking input.
Okay, all right. Okay, now the second thing is, I have at least 16 written emails that would like to keep the tennis courts at Mountain View, and the rest of the members are mostly a lot of them are snowbirds, so I don't get the response back because a lot of them don't look at it until they come back. So I just wanted to make on the records that they like to keep the Mountain View tennis courts, if it's possible. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Tom Swenson, 135906, and I just want to thank you for all the work you've done on the Mountain View project, and I encourage you to keep it moving forward. We hear a lot of what people's concerns are now. There were 2 years to put those into you, and as a member of the theater group, we did that diligently.
Yes, you did.
And it's time sometimes to make a decision. I think what's not being, I'm speaking for those folks like me who are going to have to wait 3 years to perform in a real theater again. And if that keeps getting delayed and delayed, for some of us, it may not even be possible. And there's audiences out there that are going to be denied experiences for theater, for singing, for dancing, for all kinds of entertainment. So there is a cost to delay, to the well-being of the community. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Good morning. Rich Peterson, 103988. Isn't it nice to see everybody's faces? Some. Okay. Member of the Mountain View Ad Hoc Committee 2019 and 2020. Member Long Range Planning since 2011. Objectives of the long range planning. What's here that needs to be adjusted? What's not here that could be attractive in the future? And how does Sun City stay relevant? Well, a year ago, the Mountain View Ad Hoc Committee with the research from Long Range Planning recommended a rock climbing wall. It was recommended because rock climbing is a growth sport, growing at 4% a year. The United States is adding about 40 new rock gyms every year. It doesn't take much space, and the investment to add it to a center renovation is small. Your immediate reaction. I'm sure some of you in front of me and behind me might have one or more of these. That's not for our age demographic. It's too dangerous. I can't see myself doing it. We can't get insurance. We don't have the manpower or training to monitor it. Not our demographic. According to Climbing Business Journal, and yes, there is such a thing as Climbing Business Journal, 5% of regular climbers are over age 55. Too dangerous. There's something called an auto belay device. You connect that to your harness, you go up the wall as far as you want or can. When you let go, it slowly lowers you back down to the floor again. I can't see myself doing it. Well, I can't see myself quilting or lapidary or line dancing, so I guess they shouldn't be here. We can't get insurance. Well, Google has a solution for that. I'm confident that climbing businesses get insurance since it's widely available. We don't have the manpower or training to monitor it. Well, RCSC doesn't monitor the wood shop. The club monitors the wood shop, and that's kind of a dangerous place, but they do that quite successfully. Will rock climbing be the next pickleball? Probably not, but where was pickleball 30 years ago, and now we have over 41,000 pickleball uses a year here in Sun City. My proposal, plan a climbing wall at the long end of the new Mountain View gym. Let a climbing club manage, train, and monitor wall usage, open only during club hours, just like our wood shops, and place a slide-away partition in front of the wall to restrict access to only club-monitored time. The ad hoc committee recommended 3 new activities for the new Mountain View: a gymnasium for basketball and volleyball, etc., a spin room for indoor biking to scenery projected on the wall from around the globe, and a rock climbing wall. We have amazing recreation facilities. Let's continue to look forward and adapt to stay at the top. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is, not sure. My name is Douglas Swank, 136196. I'm part of the tennis club, and I'm here to encourage you and to employ as much as I can to consider the repair of the 3 or 4 courts, I'm not sure how many there are, maybe 4, at Lakeview. There are numerous people that I'm speaking on behalf of to be here today who play at Lakeview but have not. The Lakeview courts have not been playable for over a year. There had been real hope that those courts would be repaired. I don't think that's a hugely expensive deal to do, but as a result, the Bell courts have been very, very busy and crowded since November until just a week or 2 ago. So just would like you to strongly consider the repair of the courts at Lakeview, the tennis courts, so that they can be used again. They have not been used. Thank you.
Excuse me?
Yes, Secretary Lehr.
Just a question for you, sir. Are you part of a tennis club?
Yes, I said I was.
Okay. Let me ask you this. When you go as the club, are you checking in with the monitor or signing in as you use?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
So your activity, wherever you...
So I play at Bell.
Okay, very good.
But there are numerous people that used to play at Lakeview that are friends of mine, and they prefer to play at Lakeview just
Yeah.
because it's closer or whatever. And they've been playing at Bell because they can't play at Lakeview.
Right. The only reason I asked the question is sometimes when a club is involved, like pickleball, there was a period of time when they checked in with the monitor, then they didn't check in with the monitor. I've run into some problems like that with billiards as well. So I just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other members? Okay, Vic, before you come up, any other members first time speaking? Okay, all right.
Hello again, Vic Hageman, 145-711. I thought the incident report was only used for people with colored shirts. If somebody is at a line at the bowling alley, a house person, a homeowner who starts cursing and
If they're not following RCSC rules and their policies,
Okay.
yes, then that's an incident report.
I did not know that. I think it's nice to have it recorded so we have record of that because I'm sure other homeowners may not know that either. So thank you for bringing that up.
Tracy Bessebarger, 116319. I'm here to say thank you to all of you because I'm going back to Washington this year for summer, for a little coolness. But I want to thank everyone for getting us through COVID. I want to thank the management for everything they've done for the dog park, for cleaning, getting signs up, doing whatever it takes. You all are absolutely wonderful, and I want you to know that. You need a lot of pats on the back, a lot of hugs, and a lot of kisses.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we are moving to board comments. Any comments from the board?
Madam President.
Yes, Director Hofer.
I'll try to stick to 3 minutes. Just a quick reminder to everybody that coming up on June 7th, if you'd like to sit up here next year, there are going to be 3 open seats, and we would certainly welcome you running for the Board of Directors as Chairman of the Elections Committee, sitting next to my co-chair. We certainly would welcome you, and if you have questions and need answers, you just want to talk to directors about what's involved, that type of thing, on June 15th at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., twice that day in Social Hall 2 at Lakeview, we're going to have a candidate information meeting. And you can come, you can ask whatever questions you want. We'll have 6 present and former board members there. There'll be 3 present and past presidents there. So you'll get the lowdown on what it's like to run for the board, how tough it is, how much time it takes up or doesn't take up, and all of the good things. A lot of people say it's a thankless job. I can tell you that ain't the truth. I've been thanked hundreds of times since getting on this board 6 years ago. So if you're the least bit interested in doing this, think about it. Come to the board meeting, or come to the candidate information meeting on the 15th at Lakeview, and packets will be available starting Monday, June 7th at 7:30 a.m., and that'll be in the board office, lower level at Lakeview. I hope I did that in 3 minutes, Madam President. Thank you. I was being timed.
Madam President?
123, good.
I just wanted to add that you do need to call and make a reservation on which session you would like to be at, so call the corporate office and let us know that.
Thank you.
Any other board comments?
Yes, Madam President.
Yes.
I know some of you got up and you were kind of concerned, or you had a concern about the architects not being here today, and you kind of didn't like that. But a lot of the issues that you brought up to us is issues that we recognized already, and we already took that to the architects, which is why we had to have the delay, because they had to go back and redo some things. Especially the bathroom issue was a big issue for us. We have already recognized that. Took it to them, they had to go back and redo a lot of that. And we also do not meet in the summer, so we're not here in July and August. So just so you'll remember that. Huh? Yeah, and we've also talked about the parking too, because that was an issue for us also. So a lot of the issues that you've already brought up, we have had discussion with them, and that's why the architects had to go back and they had to update their plans.
Okay. I think my microphone is dead. All right. At this time, immediately following this meeting today, actually, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you ask for
Director Madam?
Additional comments?
I did, yes. Yes, Director McAdam, go ahead.
So I would just like to make a plug for SHOA, so the Sun City Homeowners Association. Sometimes we get issues that are brought to us as a board. We are the board of RCSC. SHOA handles different things, and I happen to be the liaison officer. One of the really marvelous things about this homeowners association, and I understand that it's quite different than many others, is that there is no fee that's assessed, no required fee. But they do a lot of really wonderful things for us, and they ask for a $25 annual donation. And I just want to encourage people to do this, and maybe to let you know what some of the things that they do for us that are really worth that investment. Lots of things to maintain the beauty and livability of Sun City. One of the biggest one is the Government Affairs Committee. I think all of you have noticed that your water bills and your water, the water bills have gone up a lot, and so SHOA has been the force behind contesting the consolidation that's been taking place. And it's a really remarkable thing. You know, the Supreme Court of Arizona only takes about 1 of every 100 cases that's brought before it, but they have taken the case that has been brought by SHOA, oral arguments for last week. And this is just something that you all stand to benefit from tremendously. And I just want to encourage you, call them, drop down there, pay the $25 fee. There's a Roads and Safety Committee, there's the Compliance Department, a Marketing Department. And actually, to sweeten the membership drive, anybody that renews their membership in 2021 will be entered in a drawing for a chance to win a $50 gift card every month. There are unannounced special drawings for additional prizes throughout the year, and in December, they'll have 3 drawings for 3 $100 cards. So go ahead and do it.
Okay, any other comments? Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute recess after this meeting, and then following is going to be a planning session to discuss the planned water reduction in response to the ADWR's 4th and 5th management plans. This session will be video recorded, and you are welcome to attend for any member. However, we would like you to know that at that time, members cannot comment on any or ask any questions on that subject. I need a motion to adjourn this board meeting.
I so move.
So moved by Secretary Lair, seconded by Treasurer Rooney, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
She did
It's
announce the
10:36,
next
so
meeting.
10:41.
This is a copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.